Okay, so in this lecture, I'm going to explain how you can use a combination of AJAX and object-oriented JavaScript to build a better basket than the sort of very basic basket that I talked about in the previous lecture. So if you're not familiar with the AJAX, I recommend you watch that lecture again. And if you haven't, if you've kind of forgotten everything about the object-oriented and kind of advanced JavaScript stuff, then I recommend you watch the lecture on advanced JavaScript, because this will only really make sense if you're kind of up to speed with that stuff. So the previous lecture, I showed you how you could use HTML session storage to build a simple basket. And this basket was very closely based on the use of HTML local storage in the coursework 1, where you were storing the high scores and the user data and all that kind of stuff. And that's all well and good, but it had a number of limitations. In particular, it had the whole problem of stock management, that there was no easy way of preventing the two different customers buying the same product twice. Buying the same products, trying to buy the same product simultaneously, that's what I mean. So in this lecture, I'm going to show you how you can use object-oriented JavaScript to write a better basket. And as I said, you might want to refresh your memory of advanced JavaScript and AJAX before you watch this lecture, if you haven't done so already. So to explain the problem that this object-oriented basket is trying to solve, let's go back to our cat magnet shop. So we're selling these delightful cat magnets. These are our products. Now suppose we've got like one cat magnet left. They've been wildly popular. It's running up to Christmas. Everyone wants a cat magnet on their fridge on Boxing Day or whatever. So we've sold, pretty much all of the cat magnets. We've got maybe the American curl cat magnet left. Now, in this fever of pre-Christmas buying, we have a customer that adds the cat magnet to their basket. Now we've got a bit of a dilemma when we're organizing doing our stock management, because the customer's added the magnet to the basket, right? Now, should we record in our product database that that cat magnet is 0? Because obviously lots of customers trying to buy these cat magnets, we want to prevent multiple customers from buying this single cat magnet that we have in stock. Because if two people add it to their carts and check out simultaneously, then only one of them can actually get the physical cat magnet. So one of our customers is going to be disappointed. We're going to have to write emails to them. And potentially there could be hundreds of customers trying to buy the same thing simultaneously. So for example, if you're doing a ticketing website, there's only a limited number of tickets, and you can only sell them to individual people, right? So there's an argument for saying, well, maybe you should set the stock count to 0 in a product database. But what if the customer doesn't buy it, right? What if they just add it to their basket and then they go off, have a cup of tea, and maybe go down the pub and completely forget about buying the cat magnet? Now, if we're using session storage to record the customer's basket, then we've got a problem because we can't actually access the session storage. It only exists as long as the tab's open and it's deleted, so on and so forth. So if we want to do sensible stock management, we really need a server-side mechanism for tracking products that the customers add to baskets. So we need something on server-side that we have complete control of the data, and we can record which customers have which things in their baskets and which things are actually remaining in stock. So one solution, I think it's quite a good solution, is to use a baskets document in our MongoDB database to handle the client's baskets on the server. By the way, if you're sort of American, people often talk about shopping carts, or there's lots of terms for this, but I'm just going to use basket in this case. So the idea is we have a baskets document that represents the customer's basket on the server, and then when someone adds something to their basket, we move the product, or a record of the product, from the products document into the baskets document. If they purchase the product, then we move it from the baskets document to an orders document. And then we also have a timeout mechanism on the basket, so that if the basket times out, if they go down the pub or whatever, then the products move back into the products collection. So we always got control over where all of our stock is. And some of our stock can be in clients' baskets, some of our stock can be moved into orders. And if a client's basket, and we know we have full access to the client's basket in this case, so we can always move it back from the client's basket back into the products. So this is much better from a stock management point of view, and it prevents customers trying to buy like a single remaining item. So this is the idea, sort of showing you with MongoDB documents. So here we have our document. Here we have our products collection. One of the documents is representing the Berman cat magnet. So let's just see this one, this Berman cat magnet, right? That's in our products, one of our products. we've got the name, description, blah, 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 blah. But the important thing here, we've got a stock count here. I think, yeah, stock count here. So we've got 17 of these Berman cap magnets in stock. And here we have a document in the baskets collection, which is currently empty, and a document in the orders collection, which is also currently empty. Now the customer comes online and they add a product to the basket. So to prevent people from buying, from running out of cap magnets that we can sell to people, we decrease the stock count by 1, and then we add one of these Berman cap magnets into the customer's basket collection. So here we've got like a customer ID, maybe the customer's logged in already, something like that. Then we've got an array of products. This ID corresponds to this ID here, corresponds to these ID here. These are kind of like fake IDs, right, not proper IDs. And then we've got count. So this is an array of products in the basket, the ID of the product, and the number of this product that we've got in this basket. So we've moved one of these products into this basket here. Now suppose the customer checks out. In this case, we're going to move the product from the basket into the orders collection, right? We're going to empty the basket, move it into the orders collection, and now we have a record of the customer ID, products. And if this was a proper orders document, we'd have the customer's name, address, order time, some kind of link to the payment method, all that kind of stuff. But this is a very simple example. So if the customer buys it, we move it from baskets into orders, and that's all fine. But there's still 17 cap magnets in existence. One of them is going to be posted off to the customer, and we've got 16 left, which other customers can buy. Now, what if, on the other hand, the customer decides not to buy it, and they just close down their computer, and that's that, we never hear from them again. In this case, we have a timeout mechanism that scans the baskets every so often. So if you're doing this properly, your baskets collection will also have a timestamp on it, so you knew when it was created. And whenever the customer accessed the basket, it would refresh the timestamp, but I haven't included this as a simplified example. But we have a timeout mechanism that checks to see whether this basket has been active for, like, say, half an hour or something. If it hasn't, or on a tickets website, you only have like 10 minutes to buy the ticket usually. So we have a timeout mechanism. The web server, or the script running on the web server, will check this basket. If it hasn't been used for a long time, it's going to move this product back into the products collection. It's going to put it back in the products because, on the client side, there'll be some kind of refresh so that they would see that their basket was then empty. So we move it back from here, back into the products collection. So this is a good way, as I said, with obviously the necessary embellishments to make it all actually work. This is a good way to actually handle stock and prevent people from being disappointed because they're adding something to their basket and checking out, and then they're not actually receiving the product. We really want to prevent that if we want to keep our customers. So with this approach, we're keeping the client's basket synchronized with a basket document on the server. So what they see in their browser has to be somehow synchronized with what's going on at the server. And obviously, we need a mechanism to remove products from the unused baskets after timeout. So this lecture, I'm not going to cover any other sort of this second point here. You need to have some kind of scheduled job or something like that, because scripts at the server just run typically in response to user requests, right? HTTP requests, whatever. So if you want to have something that runs autonomously on the server, you need to schedule it somehow. I'm not going to go into that. So I'm going to show you how you can build. Well, I'm going to give you most of the code or get you started on an object-oriented basket that will do this kind of stuff. So this is an object-oriented basket. So we've got a constructor that creates a basket object. So first I'm going to talk through, the JavaScript, explaining how the basket works, and then I'll show you how that integrates with the PHP and the HTML. So this is the JavaScript part of it. We've got a constructor, builds the basket object, and then I decided to use prototype methods. You don't really need to use prototype methods because you're only going to have one basket on your website at a single time. But I thought, well, let's get familiar with the prototype thing, sort of drill it home a little bit. So we're going to use prototypes in this case. So these are the prototype methods. We've got add, an add method that adds a product ID, a product name, and a quantity to the basket. We've got a remove method, sensible stuff, right, for a basket. And then here we've got the send and the get methods. So this basket uses AJAX because, so that JavaScript can synchronize the basket that the client sees in their browser with the basket document on the server. So we need to link them up somehow, and it's going to be tricky to do with anything except AJAX or WebSockets or something like that. So we're going to use these send and get methods. Send will send the basket to the server and update the basket on the server, and get will retrieve the basket from the server. And then we've got load basket, and what this does is it takes the basket and it puts it and makes it visible in the page. It sort of wraps it up in some HTML and sticks it in the page so the user can actually see it. So I'll go through these methods fairly quickly. As usual with these kind of examples, the code's available on the course website. If you want to fiddle with it, adapt it, use it as you like. So this is a constructor. I thought it'd be handy not to hard code the PHP page that handles the basket on the server. So this is just so this might be like basket PHP, or so you can just pass it in the constructor so that you can use it with different kinds of pages. I thought that would be convenient, not really essential. But anyway, so we've got the page that the basket's going to communicate with on the server. That's recorded here. And then we've got an array of products here, which is just initialized to an empty array. Then when the customer clicks on like one of the buttons, like add to basket, it will call the add function. I'll explain how that all works in a little bit. And these are the arguments of product ID, product name, and the number of products you want to add. It's dead simple, the same thing you've been doing in coursework 1. We're just going to add an object representing the product to this product array here. Then we're going to go send. So send will take this product array, I'll explain send in a little bit, and it will send it off to the server so that we've got the client's basket synchronized with the server. And then this.load basket, so once we've sent the basket off to the server, we're going to load this product array into the page so that the user can actually see the contents of their basket. Then we got remove, which does exactly the same thing, except it's removing a basket, a product at a particular index, just splices it out of the product array, sends it off to the server so there's clients and servers synchronized, and then it loads the basket, reloads the basket into the page so the user can see what the contents of their basket is. So the send function, standard AJAX stuff, covered that in the previous lecture, creating new XML HTTP request. Then we're posting the basket because we're sort of modifying a resource on the server. And then we're sending it to this page here, which is, this page is specified when you invoke the constructor of the basket. And setting the encoding type, and then we're sending it. It's got a key is JSON, and the value is a string version of the products array. So we're stringifying the product array. For some reason, I've done it that way. Can't remember why, but it's actually it's like an object, and the key of the object is a products, and then the product array. But basically, it's a JSON representation of the basket, which I'm sending in the body of the message using post. So that's sending it to the server, sorry. And then we also need to be able to retrieve the basket from the server. So for example, when the page loads, we might want to get the basket. And this works in a pretty much identical way. We're creating a new XML HTTP request, so standard AJAX stuff. Then we're using get this time because we're retrieving a resource. Again, get server basket page, blah, blah, blah. And then we're retrieving the basket in JSON format again. So we're getting a string here, which is the JSON representation of the basket. And then we're converting that, we're passing it to convert it back into our product array here, which represents the array of products. And we have to, because this is like I had to do a bit of fiddling so that we still have a reference within this function to the class. I'm not entirely sure why I had to do this little slightly hacky thing with keep a reference to the class that holds all this stuff, which I'm going to call caller, so that I can actually access the product array within this function. It's a sort of function within a class. Don't ask me why I had to do this fiddly fix, but it required this fix anyway, and it works. So what we're doing is here we're retrieving the JSON representation of the basket and copying it into the product array of the class, and then we're going to load that basket and display it to the user. So we're pulling it from the server and injecting it into the document object model in the page. And so this is the load basket function. Kind of easy, right? We've got the product array within our class, right? This.product array. So we work through the product array and wrap it up in various bits of HTML. And then we've got an event handler here, basket.remove. So when they click on the remove button, it will call this basket.remove method and will remove the product from the basket, and I've already covered that remove thing earlier. Okay, now we've got the shopping page. Now I know you can't read this, but you've got the code. And I'm just going to quickly talk you through a couple of bits. I think, yeah. So first thing here, so this is PHP for starters. So we've got bits of HTML here, we've got a chunk of PHP here, and then we've got some more HTML here. And roughly speaking, that's just header stuff. We're including the JavaScript for the basket here. This basket thing I'm going to talk about later, this bit of HTML here, and we'll just briefly explain the PHP here. So the PHP here is just for adding products. So all we're doing is pulling all the products from the database and just echoing them out here in the form of a table. Now, it might be helpful if I showed you that in Notepad++. If we just go to index PHP, don't know if that's any clearer, is it? Yeah, it probably is. Okay, so we're finding all the products in the database, working through all the products and echoing them in a table, which is a little bit dubious, but never mind. And the crucial thing in here, we've got the button, and the button has a click. When the button's clicked, it will call basket.add, and it will add. It'll call the basket add method with the arguments of the ID, the name, and the quantity of the products. So it's got the event handler is being output by the PHP as part of this HTML that's wrapping the product information. Okay, so I think that's the main bit. So that's the table that this stuff here is outputting this table here, and so it's got the event handler here. So when you click on that, it calls the add to basket method. So now we've got the JavaScript to make the basket happen. So I've explained this event handler here. Obviously, we need to include the JavaScript code at the top, this basket.js. And at the bottom here, we've got the code that actually displays the basket. It's got like a little header saying basket. We've got given it an ID so we can actually load stuff into there. And then we've just got a bit of script that creates a new basket, standard object-oriented JavaScript. And I'm passing the page that I want to handle the basket server side here. And then I'm doing basket get, which means I'm pulling the basket from the server. And then basket get will pull it from the server, and then it will load it into the page. Now we've got the PHP. So this is the script that's used server-side that communicates with the basket on the client. So the first part of this is to create the basket. So we check to see if we've got so we're using session handling. So I've kind of already started the session up here somewhere. Well, actually, this is sort of up here at the top of the page. We've started the session somewhere. And I want to see and I'm storing the basket ID as a session variable so that I can keep track of the basket of each of the different customers. So the basket ID in the session. So if the customers come to the website for the first time, the session will just have started, and I won't have created a basket for that customer. So if I haven't got a basket for the customer, I need to create a new empty basket array, basket document in MongoDB. So here I'm inserting a new document into my baskets collection. Check it's all worked, and then I store the ID of my basket document in the session ID. Now, what I haven't got is a clever mechanism for cleaning up the baskets at the end of it, but never mind. Now, so that's the first thing. We make sure that we've got a basket and that the basket ID is stored in the session ID. That's what this bit. So every time this page is called, it'll run this check, and once the customer comes, like for the second time, the basket ID will exist within the session key. So next stage of this is we want to. So this script has three functionalities. So it creates the basket if it doesn't exist, and then if a GET request is sent to it, then it returns the basket that exists. Okay. So the first thing it does is, what's it doing here? Yep, it's searching for a basket. So if it receives a GET request, it wants to return the customer's basket, right? So it's building up a search where we'll look for the ID, a basket with the ID that's stored in the session ID. So then it'll run a search for the basket document. If it finds the basket document, then it will. Should find there should be a single basket document for each customer. Then it extracts the basket document here, and then it converts it into JSON format and returns it to the user, to the client. So it's pulling out the basket ID from the session ID, extracting that basket document from the database, encoding it in JSON, and returning it to the user. Now that's if a GET request is sent to the server. Now, if a POST request is sent to the server then needs to update the baskets document with the new data that's being sent to it. So in this case, I've stored the JSON in the JSON will be available in the post PHP variable, global variable. So we extract the JSON that's been sent to the server here. If it's a post request, we're going to look for the JSON inside the post variable. Then we're going to use the JSON decode method to convert that into a PHP object data structure. And then we're going to we need an then we're adding we're using the save method, so we need to add the ID field to this data structure. So this data structure just contains all the stuff in the basket. We need to specify we want to use the save to completely overwrite the basket with the new data that we've received from the client. So we need to add the ID to this PHP data structure, and then we can use save, and the save method will overwrite whatever's in the basket with this ID with the new data that we've got from the client. And then we check that it's all worked okay, and then we echo OK. So this will update the basket. Now, what I haven't done here is the bunch of stuff that you'd have to do if you actually wanted to use this code or write similar code. You have to check the products are in stock, you'd have to merge the quantities of products with the same ID, and then you have to do the moving process, because I haven't done any of that. I haven't actually done the whole stock management aspect of this problem, which you'd have to do, and these are just notes to say, well, you've got to do that. This is just a demo, right? And this is a demo too, right? So I'll just show you how it works. So let's start with, okay, so here's my shopping website with my various attractive cat magnets that are in my stock collection. And here's the basket, which is currently empty. Now, if you look on the server side, here we're doing baskets.find, and you can see I've got a basket here because I've already started the session. It's got a particular ID, and it's got a products array, and the products array is currently empty. Now, on the server side, I can then add some stuff to the basket. You know, it doesn't do any clever merging, so there we go. We've got like 4 products in the basket, like American Curl, Berman, Chartreuse, whatever. Now we'll look in the same database, look in the same collection, look at all the baskets, and you can see our basket now contains the American Curl, the exotic short hair, the Berman, the Chartreuse. So it's synchronizing very nicely between the client side JavaScript and the server side MongoDB. Okay, now if I just remove a couple of items from the basket, hopefully it'll all work. So now we've got American Curl and Chartreuse, and there we go, American Curl and Chartreuse. So it's working nicely. What I haven't done, as I said, I haven't done the sort of moving of the stock from the Chartreuse product document to the basket document, but you know, something for you to do at home, yeah? Great, so it all works very nicely. And just a few sort of points about this example. So it's modular, right? I've got a lot of complex functionality inside the basket object and corresponding PHP page, which are in separate files. So the basket object in particular, I've got these nice methods for like adding, removing, sending, getting. And so using the basket is dead easy. You don't need to understand it very well. You can just invoke the methods on it to add stuff, remove stuff, and so on. So for example, you know, if you're feeling dead keen, you could finish it off and release it as a third-party library, for example. Other people could use this. They wouldn't need to know all the complex stuff about the AJAX and all the rest of it. They could just use it, and you could provide an API, and then they just interact with them that way. It's also easy to test. Testing is going to be covered in a later lecture. So we could do different, test the add functionality, test the remove functionality, test the send, test the get, and so on and so forth. It's also easy to extend, right? Because it's an object, I can just add new methods to it, I can add new variables to it, and so on and so forth. That's particularly true of the JavaScript. The PHP could be probably made better. Maybe it could be done with, probably be better if I rewrote the PHP functions or objects or something. But certainly the JavaScript has got this nice modularity and easy extensibility. So on course websites, all of the code will be available. As I said, with all these examples, I haven't finished any of them off, right? They're not particularly brilliant examples. They're just trying to get you started with this stuff. So you're fine to take this object-oriented basket, use it as a starting point for the functionality on your e-commerce websites. It's not going to solve all the problems. You're going to have to understand this code in order to adapt it. So I'm absolutely fine with you taking it as a starting point. What I want you to do is understand it, right? That's the objective of all this kind of stuff, yeah? So, in this lecture, I've explained how you can use object-oriented JavaScript to create a shopping basket that synchronizes nicely with the database. Works rather well, I think. And the next lecture, I'm going to look at customer tracking and recommendation.